Okay, so with your hook, some of the phrasing is a little illogical. So I'm on your introduction at your attention hook currently. You say, imagine a young girl finding the one, but she was taken away because it would dishonor her family. That part where it says she was taken away is a little confusing. What do you mean by this? Her and her loved one were separated?
Yeah.
That might be something that you rephrase. And I love how you lead into, this is the story of Romeo and Juliet. But anytime you mention the play title, make sure you're italicizing it. Now your context does a really nice, your background and context does a nice job of explaining the play, but you don't bring up gender identity and violence at all in your background and context before your thesis. So that needs to be brought up at some point before your thesis. Explaining what does that mean, why are you talking about it, because then we're confused as to what do you mean violence is perpetuated? We didn't know about violence until just your thesis. Okay, now I'm on your topic sentence of your first body paragraph. Good. Your citation is correct, but make sure you go back and embed first concrete detail. Now remember, you can use a full sentence introduction with a colon, or you can attribute with a comma, or you can integrate it as part of your sentence. So you could say something like, so your topic sentence, blah, 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 Tybalt trying to get him off of Romeo perpetuates violence by defending Romeo's honor. This is exemplified when Mercutio says, comma. And then by adding that comma and saying Mercutio said this, you're attributing your quote and embedding it. So consider something like that. Your commentary in that section is perfect, but I want you to add a transition before your second concrete detail. Transition into the next chunk, and also embed. And you can kind of kill two birds with one stone by transitioning and embedding at the same time. I also note that your parentheses, there's no space between the quotation mark and the parentheses. Make sure you're adding a space between that. The word things in your second set of commentary shows weak diction. Consider a different word. Your concluding sentence, therefore, with Mercutio purposely trying to misunderstand Tybalt and also taunting Tybalt to try to defend Romeo's honor, Mercutio, okay. I would, instead of a comma after Tybalt, where it says trying to misunderstand Tybalt, I would do a dash, which is the two dashes with no spaces, and then do a second dash after the word honor before Mercutio. And that just makes it a little bit more logical. Do you need this?
She can't see it.
I would like a transition between body paragraphs. You do mention the word again, but I'm not sure that that transition is not super clear. And whenever you're doing like quotations, like with weak and shameful, make sure you're doing double quotation marks, not apostrophe. Correct citation, just make sure that you're embedding your evidence. I'm looking at your commentary under your first concrete detail in the second paragraph. That second sentence, believes Romeo not wanting to fight, that's a fragment, so we need to add a subject. Who believes that Romeo not wanting to fight? So just rephrase that for clarity. And again, make sure you're using double quotation marks with dishonorable. And something to consider, rather than just putting quotation marks to show like that you're not being literal, maybe you could say stereotypically dishonorable, and that lets the reader know what you mean by the quotation marks. Looking at your second concrete detail, you're going to need a transition, and you'll need to embed, but again, you can often kill two birds with one stone. Notice in your second concrete detail in this paragraph you have a punctuation, you have period within the quote, no punctuation until after the citation. So the period only goes after the parentheses, so we'll have to move that outside the citation. Your commentary is strong, but you need to maybe add a sentence connecting to your thesis. So here, this concluding sentence, you're using fragments. Make sure you're using complete sentences, even within the parentheses. Okay, now I'm on your third body paragraph. Make sure you embed that concrete detail. Nice use of slashes. Just make sure there's no spaces within the slashes of your quote. Again, make sure you're using double quotation marks, but you do that quite a bit. So I would start maybe using the phrase stereotypically, or not literally stating, but I would, honestly, I would just remove the quotation marks in general, and just say, but in the stating of his reputation. Because now you're using a literary device, an idiom, within your commentary, which shows a next level of sophistication for your writing. Don't forget to add a transition and embed between chunks. Really strong commentary there. Make sure when you name the title, you spell it out. Don't just say R plus J. That's in your concluding sentence. Make sure you always capitalize every proper noun, like Mercutio. It needs to be capitalized. Make sure if you're doing any quotes, you don't do apostrophe, but use actual quotation marks in that concluding sentence. In your conclusion now, make sure you're italicizing the play title. And I would add a sentence to your relevance, maybe starting with the phrase, "we must." Make a bold claim that kind of leaves a mic drop moment for your readers.